Hello everyone. Unit 2, Day 3. Full disclosure, I'm very tired. I started work today. I've been up since 3 in the morning and it's currently 2:33 in the afternoon, so if I start not making sense or if I seem like I'm rambling, I'm just super tired. Alright, I wanted to go over Maria's presentation response and Rosa's response from what I've seen since I posted last. I thought that Maria, I was really excited for one that she brought up Studio Ghibli. I'm a major fan of the Studio Ghibli films. Miyazaki is a fantastic director and he works really well with the medium the medium that he uses to present his animated films. He's a very good example of an artist that is capable of transplanting us to another reality. I actually have a little Totoro here with me. He's missing an ear, but this is one of his characters from his film My Neighbor Totoro, so I was a major fan of that example that she brought up. Also Rosa, thank you for clarifying my use of Doctor Who and saying that it was sort of a catalog of how media and the moving panorama has evolved throughout, recent time. I thought that was, I appreciated that as well. So one specific thing that Maria discussed in her presentation was the human factor and how we have the same feelings despite the distance from one another. Travel was a lot more difficult of a thing to do back in the day. We weren't so intertwined and interconnected as we are now. So oftentimes it might have felt like you were the only one who was going through whatever you were going through. So I thought it was interesting how she used the moving panorama as an example of something that brought people together, despite the fact that it takes you somewhere else and you experience something else. You just sort of have this sense of community coming from the other side of it. So I thought that was really cool, and it made me consider things a little bit differently. It was a little bit different from what we've been discussing the moving panorama to be so far. So I appreciated that a lot. Rosa sort of touched upon this too in talking about how we're always trying to connect to what it is that we're experiencing in terms of, moving panorama or film or video games. We're always trying to connect to something that we're being given in regards to storytelling. But I want to take that a little bit further, and I think that we're always trying to connect to each other and the people around us. And I think that the moving panorama and what that has come to be now serves that purpose to a certain extent. There's Rosa also went on to talk about 3D film, 4D experiences in film. I'm not much of a fan of 3D either. I think it's a neat idea, but mostly for me, I wear glasses, so wearing 3D glasses on top of my already glasses to watch a film just sort of makes me not really enjoy it as much. 4D I think is kind of fun to experience maybe once or twice, but I wouldn't like to have that become a norm. I think that Maria, you also discussed in your presentation about how things relating to the moving panorama, things relating to storytelling in a more contemporary sense. You brought up how video games and violence might be thought to coincide with one another. And that's one of the things that, for me personally, has always irked me. I think video games have always been a very easy scapegoat for the older generation or older politicians to attack in terms of violence in real life. Particularly gun violence. Gun violence is a very big issue right now in America, and video games are very often thrown under the bus, which I think it's an injustice. There's absolutely no statistical evidence to back up video games causing violence in real life. There's no science, no evidence to back up those claims. So I think that it's a very unfair and inconclusive way of summing up somebody's stance on the topic of things like gun violence and how we should better protect the students of our schools and things like that. Also, not only violence in video games, but violence in film, about how everything is looking more realistic these days and about how more believable those things are. I think that, yes, we are indeed moved by media, the moving panorama, video games, literature, whatever media you want to provide, but like I've never wanted to stomp on a bunch of turtles because I jump on turtles in a Mario game. You know what I mean? I've never wanted to go out and abuse squirrels because, you fight with little animals in Pokemon. It's just absurd to consider, in my opinion. But I liked how Maria and Rosa, you both talked about the human factor and how these mediums connect people. Again, I'm a bit of an optimist when it comes to my opinions and my outlooks on life, and I think that the moving panorama was a beautiful thing. I think that it's a beautiful thing to have the opportunity to be taken somewhere else for a little bit. It makes you desire more, and it makes you dream bigger, and it does push the boundaries of your imagination. I guess in answering my own question from my last video post, I think that I tend to lean more towards fantasy transplantation, and that it pushes the boundaries of what you would normally think about. It pushes the boundaries of what you feel like you can do. So yeah, again, I'm just really interested in what Rosa and Maria both had to say. I'm not sure if there's much else that I can present. I think that I touched upon all that I want to touch upon with what you guys said. I'm rambling now. I'm really tired. I'm going to go take a nap. Thank you guys for listening to me. And I look forward to what else everybody else says. Thanks.